Hello knitters, Barbara Benson here. I am an independent knitwear designer who likes to make knittertaining videos here on Watch Barbara Knit. Please make sure to check in the description below where you can see all the social media places you can hook up with me. I'd love to have you come join the Watch Barbara Knit's Facebook group. Check out my patterns on the different pattern platforms that they're available, and maybe check out my Patreon. I am excited to talk to you. This is the first video of the decade. It's crazy. It's 2020. It's really weird to wrap my brain around that we are in a new decade or whatever. I know there's an argument about whether or not the decade has actually started, but you know what? It's a new thing to write on my checks. 2020. It ends with 0. It's a new decade for me. It's really crazy, and we're coming into, wait a minute. So I think this is my, hang on, I gotta pause. Okay, I had to actually go check my YouTube channel because math, not my strongest suit, and I couldn't remember. So I started this channel in 2016. So 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. This is starting my 5th year on YouTube. Can you believe that? Wait a minute, math. So all 16, 17, 18, 19, 5th. That's right. It's the 5th year on YouTube. So that is something I would have never imagined would have happened. So there's that. Today, what I want here, I've got some stuff over here to make sure. I wanted to talk to you today about teaching and classes, and specifically an event I'm going to be teaching at, which is, I'm so excited for, the 3rd year in a row, I will be teaching at the Interweave YarnFest in Loveland, Colorado. When I go, I fly into Denver, so if you had to fly there, Denver. And let me tell you, the first time I flew in, I was a little bit disappointed because I flew in, and when I think of Colorado, having never been to Colorado, I was like, there's mountains everywhere, Purple Mountains Majesty. And I flew into Denver, and it's like flat. I mean, you could see mountains off in the distance, but pretty much it was flat. And I'm like, this is strangely non-mountainous, but whatever. But it was lovely, and I met a bunch of amazing people, and I just love teaching. It's one of the reasons I started this YouTube channel is I love teaching and talking to people and sharing learning, because I get super excited about learning, and I want to get other people excited about learning. And I will continue to do this YouTube channel, but there's nothing that can substitute for actual one-on-one, hands-on kind of teaching, which is why I'm trying to work on traveling more. It's been juggling because I have a young child who just turned 13, so he's maybe not so young anymore. And so as he gets older, I'm hopefully going to be able to travel more. So I'm going to Loveland, Colorado. The dates, this is why I have this open over here, are April 29th through May 3rd. You see, I had to use my bifocals. So those are the dates. If you are considering, and I wanted to talk about this now, and if you are considering or have been considering any kind of travel for going to a knitting style convention-y kind of thing, or if you live within driving distance of Loveland, Colorado, you might want to get this one on the calendar. So that's April 29th through May 3rd. There's many, many amazing teachers that will be teaching there. And there's also a floor marketplace with some amazing products. I will link to an older video, like I did a floor video, I think of the last couple times I went there. I'll link to those so you can check it out. But I wanted to talk about the classes that I'm going to be teaching there. I'm going to be teaching 5 different classes. A few of them are favorites, old favorites, and then there are 2 new ones. So from the category of old favorites, I'm going to be teaching, I got to get this right. I named this, and I named it this just to amuse myself, Elongated, Lifted, and Cinched. And what it is it's a class about the wacky stitches that you can find in a Japanese stitch dictionary. And I just made up names for them because when I wrote this class, there weren't any translations of Japanese knitting books, and you had to sort of figure them out for yourself based on the books that you have that you can translate. Like there's a lot of drawings and graphs, and it's mostly charted. So, and then the explanations for, actually, you know what? I've got one sitting right here. Boom. So this is the Japanese Stitch Dictionary. You can see I have a few tabs in it, but in it, oh, look, I have a chart thing in there. I wonder what I was doing there. The instructions have little pictograms where they show you. So in figuring out the stitches, I kind of had to figure them all out for myself. And I thought I'd write a class so that people didn't have to figure out some of the weirder stitches. Because what it is that the Japanese style of knitting, they're not afraid to manipulate the stitches more. They're sort of go under here and lift this up and move this over and do some fancy stuff kind of things. So that's what this class is. It is a technique-based class. All you're doing in it is swatching. And what we do is we go through multiple different types of stitches and you learn how to do them and learn how to read the charts so that you can address Japanese patterns with more confidence, and you have some stitches to add to your toolbox of knitting techniques. So that's the elongated, lifted, and cinched class, which apparently I'm teaching on Thursday. And then quite possibly my favorite class that I teach, the magical art of blocking hand knits. And it's a blocking class. And when I tell people it's a 3-hour blocking class, they're kind of like, a little bit of side eye. How can you talk about blocking for 3 hours? Well, I can talk about blocking for more than 3 hours, let me tell you. But it's more than a blocking class. It is a blocking class because what I'm talking about is how blocking affects your knitting. But what I do is I talk about what blocking is. I talk about the tools that you need for blocking. I talk about techniques you need and how you use those tools to block. But I also talk about understanding the different fibers of yarn and how they block, and the structures of yarn and how they block. So you've got here are the fibers and how do you block considering the fibers. And then I talk about the fabric itself, different kinds of fabrics, and how you need to address those when you block them, like lace versus cables versus textures versus color work. And then I talk about blocking when you're considering the type of project you're making, because there are different considerations whether you're blocking a shawl or a garment or an afghan. So it's breaking down blocking and talking about all kinds of different ways you have to think about blocking, and in doing so make you better prepared to have a successful project. So I mean, I theoretically could call it planning a successful project class, but what it is focused on, like a laser on blocking. So I love teaching this class. It is more of a lecture and demonstration class. There's no homework, there's no knitting in it. I do tell people if they want to bring like a problem child project they have, I can take a look at it and try to help them. But that is the blocking class, and I just love it. And that I'm teaching on Thursday as well. Now, the Mosaic and Lace. I'm going to be teaching Mosaic and Lace, and I'm going to be teaching it twice. One of them is a class I've taught before, but we've given it a slightly different name, and the other one is something new. So I have my 3-hour Mosaic Lace Toolbox class, but we're calling it Mosaic Lace Toolbox Bootcamp. It is, and if anyone who has taken it, if you've taken this class, let people know in the comments below. It's an intense class. It's 3 hours and we're doing this thing, and it's bang, 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 bang. And what it does is it teaches you what Mosaic is and gives you all the tools you need to execute Mosaic and Lace that I have designed, where I have combined the technique of slip stitch color work that is known as Mosaic, and lace. And it's how those slip stitches create color work, and then how those slip stitches interact with the increases and decreases in lace to create intricate details and do really interesting things. I'll put up a picture of an example of Mosaic lace here. And it's really cool, and it's not as hard as you would think, because if you can do the lace, then the color work doesn't really add that much more complexity. So this is the 3-hour class. If you're confident, if you pick things up fairly quickly, this is a good class for you. But the feedback that I've received, and it was not negative feedback, so I don't want to say that and anyone think, if someone who gave me this feedback hears this and says, oh, I didn't mean to, I didn't take it. I had a lot of people who said, love the class, would love to take it. I wish it was longer. I wish there was more. I wish we could have a little more time with some of the techniques. So what I worked with the people at YarnFest with is to create what we're calling Mosaic and Beyond. It's a class, and it's 3 hours in the morning and then a break for lunch, and then 3 hours in the afternoon. So it's in total a 6-hour class. So in the morning, we can start from scratch with Mosaic and go a little more slowly through it and really explore Mosaic and some variations on Mosaic that I have been playing with, and then talk about how we can break the rules with Mosaic. And so that first 3 hours is really going to be, we have a good understanding of the slip stitch color work, and that'll be super fun. And then we'll come back in the afternoon class, and that's when we'll start with the Mosaic lace. And it will be at a pace where we can focus on it, the techniques a little bit more, and take things a little bit more slowly and explore things a little bit more thoroughly, as opposed to the 3-hour class, which is going to be get it done. And this one is going to be paced a little more slowly and have probably more information and have us more time to explore things. So that one is called Mosaic and Beyond, because we're not just going to talk about lace, we're going to talk about some other things we can do with slip stitch color work in manipulating it, what I call breaking the rules. So those two classes, if you take the 3-hour class, I don't know that the 6-hour class, there's going to be some redundancy, but I mean, hey, if you really like it, whatever, but there will be some redundancy. And then the last class I'm teaching, Lace Knit Large. So what this is this is going with my new book. And with my new book, it is big yarn, big lace. And the idea here is a lot of people are intimidated by lace because it's teeny tiny needles and teeny tiny yarn. And so this is going to be a learn to knit lace class with bulky yarn. We're going to use bulky yarn, and we're going to use big needles, and we're going to work on walking through all of the techniques and learning, not all of the techniques because there's so much lace, but start with lace. So you have an understanding of lace, the increases, the decreases, and we'll touch on different things, little tips and tricks with lace, the different ways to make a yarn over, how different decreases work, and we're going to be working through a really simple scarf pattern. So by the end of the class, you'll be ready to finish up this scarf in bulky yarn. So big needles, big yarn, big lace, having fun, and hopefully it'll be a little less scary for some. So those are the classes I'm going to be teaching, and I'm super excited about it. And I would love it if some of y'all would be able to be there. In the past, people have mentioned that they watch my videos when they're in my classes, and it's always real exciting because it's amazing. I know that y'all get to see me, but when I get to see you, it's very exciting for me and a lot of fun. Now, I know that a lot of you are going to be watching this and be really bummed that this is not something you can make. And I'm sorry. I would love to be able to come to each of your cities and teach you. So if you have a local knitting guild or local stores or anything and you think they might be interested, I am working on traveling more, and they could contact me and maybe we could work something out. But until then, I'm still going to be here on the videos for you, and I'm working up for some fun stuff for 2020 and do interest a lot. We're going to try to keep most of your old favorite things, fave fives, unboxings, but I'm going to try to come up with some fun stuff and actually have a little bit more demo kind of stuff knitting. I'm working on setting up a new setup to make the logistics of it easier. So if you have any questions about the classes or the event, please let me know in the comments below. And if you like this video, please give it the thumbs up, click that like button. And if you would like to be notified whenever I upload a new video, please subscribe to my channel and select notifications. Thank you so much.